Hi guys, welcome back to the Funky Evolution Party. I'm Alice Green and happy World Book Day. Now, because my garden only grows when I read it poetry, I thought maybe society will grow a bit as well if we decided to read it the right things. I think today is going to be my most controversial video where I think everybody has a story to tell, and the way we're going about our storytelling and sort of projecting our opinions onto others needs to be addressed. Where do I start? I think I'll start with the poem because it's a nice way to ease into this particular topic, and I think it's very important that we look at history, we look at women's rights particularly, we look at toxic masculinity, and we also look at where society is currently going today, and how we are literally shoving opinions down people's throats, scattering all over the internet, and I'm not a witch, I'm a bitch, and I can foresee how things are going to the point where we are screaming oppression, 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 and then we're just oppressing anybody who doesn't agree with us. So let's start with the poem, and then hopefully I can gather my thoughts in terms of how to address this without offending anyone, which is just not going to happen. So let's just offend everybody. Upon Kindle and true love, 'tis not how witty nor how free, nor yet how beautiful she be, but how much kindle and true to me, freedom and wit nor can confine, and beauty like the sun doth shine, but kindle and true are only mine. Let others with attention sit, to listen and admire her wit. That is the rock where I'll not split. Let others dot upon her eyes, and burn their hearts for sacrifice. Beauty's a calm where danger lies, but kindle and true have been long tried, a harbour where we may confine. In safety there an anchor ride, for change of winds there we are free, and needs nor fear storm's tyranny, nor pirate through a prince he be. Now, the reason I read this one particularly is because of the obsession with beauty, the obsession with, this exterior rather than focusing on the interior, working on our wit rather than on our hair extensions, for example. This is as extended as I get. And looking at how we as a society have just been going from oppression to a new form of oppression, to the point now, and I'm going to say this as a woman, I'm actually extremely offended with 90% of the stuff I see online. Also as a mother, watching all of these drag shows which are over 18s in school story time. You pay money, you go to an over 18s place, completely fine, completely acceptable, do not have a problem with that. The second you start putting this into schools, you can't even watch a movie unless you're 18 plus, but it's acceptable for a baby to see somebody in a G-string dancing around and doing the splits. Now, I partly blame the parents, but I also blame the system for allowing the innocence of children to be stripped from them. We are stripping their innocence before they even understood what anything is. Yeah, it's great, it's funny, yeah, sure, it's not. What you're doing is you're creating psychology that is not about accepting who you are as an individual. You're born like that, like my plants. Some are male, some are female, some are just genderless, which is fine. But the second I start messing with their biology, they'll just die. Externally they might look like they're, but internally they'll never grow. And it's the same as us. So I'm going to take you through a brief history of women and the sacred goddess, because I think it's extremely important that what we're seeing today is the aftermath of the repression of the sacred feminine within society. And I'm not going to claim to be a feminist. I don't put labels on myself. I don't label me this and I don't label me that. I'm an individual who is extremely comfortable in my own skin, whether it be a woman or whether I want to pick up a drill and get a bit boisterous. At the end of the day, knowing who you are where maybe some of your triggers come from. So again, women have fought for centuries for their rights. Like, I mean, fought to the point that they couldn't even vote up until recently. Let's take you pre-Christianity times, where the sacred feminine was literally as equal as the masculine. So, you know, it wasn't that the masculine was the powerful one, and that's where toxic masculinity actually stems from, was when the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine were ripped apart from each other, and then it became an oppression. And that's been going on for about 2,000 years, and it's not our fault. This is the fault of our ancestors, and it's up to us in 2023 to look at all the information that we have and go, hey, hold up a second. Masculinity is not toxic. It's the way that it has been projected onto us and the lessons that boys keep being taught that turns it toxic. And it doesn't matter whether you're male or you're female, toxicity comes in both. So if you're a toxic person, you start off as a woman, and I'm toxic, I decided, you know, I'm just gonna be a boy, I'm still gonna be a toxic male. It doesn't change. No matter what you do on the external side, unless you're changing the internal, we're just going to become more aggressive, keep attacking each other. Now, I'm going to say this, but a lot of what we see is actually really angry men wearing dresses and makeup. They're either angry at their mothers from when they were young, or, you know, just society in general. And I see that aggression. And no matter what you wear, no matter what you put on your face, you are going to have that aggression towards people and forcing it down people's throats, like storming churches, doing all of these things, projecting your opinions onto others, and then calling yourself a woman. Sending sex offenders to prisons, but because they identify, they go into a woman's prison with all their bits. I'm sorry, if you're going to identify, get your bits chopped off. And then tell me you're a woman, and then you can't actually offend anymore, and then fine. But the way society has been geared and set up is actually for the destruction of both the masculine and the feminine. So you are so confused, you don't know what you're doing anymore. Let's not fight for the wars and them going in and stealing the lands and poisoning our food supplies and, you know, upping all the prices of everything and turning you into modern day peasants. That's fine. Go ahead and do that. But protest that, you know, I've got a man in a G-string parading in front of my kid at story time. Protest about that and you'll go to prison. Bah, 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 bah. Why are we throwing all these punches at each other? Again, I get it. I get, it's based on my own experience, having a child who is 4 years old, who loves to wear dresses, all of that, it is the love for his mummy. And if that isn't identified early enough, that can actually become a very confusing process for children. They either so in love with their mums that they want to be exactly like their mum, and then that's their focus, or they're so bitter and angry at women that they just want to be like them because they can't compete with their beauty. They just want to do that, and then they get into that position and they're like, so beautiful. What beauty? Really? This is beauty? Let's take a deeper look on the inside. Look at where our toxic behaviors are coming from. Look at how the powers that be are turning us against each other, because if it's not racism, it's about gender. Now, the second that bit dies down, we're bringing something else. Again, it's not biology. It is psychology that needs to be changed. You can do whatever you want to the exterior, but your interior is going to be toxic. And the only way to change the story and your own story is by taking a deep look inside yourself, understanding where your triggers come from, saying, hey, wait a second, does me wearing trousers and does that mean that I can be aggressive and I can pretend like, no. Is it because I do this, like I can project myself onto others? Oh, you didn't use these pronouns. I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with them. At the end of the day, you want to be who you are, that's completely fine. But the second you start projecting it onto other people, men wanting to have periods, like really, it is the worst possible thing about being a woman. But I want to experience it. What is this? A world where you think that you can just take and have whatever you want? Or should you just accept things for as they are and what they are, and respect each individual for how they were born, and maybe how their psychology got messed up, and maybe how we can bring that back? Because I'm not going to lie to you, I won't even wear mascara with lipstick, because I'm like, and then you see these men just completely scary, still got all their bits attached, but want to identify as X, Y, and Z to get on that bandwagon. It's not a bandwagon. This is life. There is only males and females in this world, yet we've still managed, and I can't get my head around how we have managed to become so far apart from each other, when literally we should be working together as teams. Whether, again, I'm not very compatible with men or women. I'm not compatible with anybody. So I choose to accept who I am. By changing my exterior, it's not going to make me more compatible. At the end of the day, be compatible with you. The second you start being functional rather than dysfunctional, society can start to progress rather than remain regressing to have gone so far down the rabbit hole that absolutely everything that is real, which is the blood that runs through your veins, your hormones, all of that, and you're trying to destroy it, and then wonder why you're sad and depressed and miserable, or why people don't like you, and X, Y, and Z. Let's take a closer look at the psychology rather than the biology. You know, forcing, okay, you're this, oh my god, I'm so confused, that I'm so busy focusing on who I am rather than what we actually need to focus on, which is, again, wars, poisoning our food supplies, trying to put microchips in our necks. All of these things are being slipped under the carpet while we keep knocking each other out. So the only way I suggest we make this work is by really coming together. United we stand, divided we fall. Food. Doesn't matter what gender you are, you need to eat. Fashion. It's acceptable for men to wear dresses. Maybe that's the line I'll start, is my Alice Green collection, where men can be comfortable in a skirt and a dress, but the one that's made for them, like, the worst thing is to see a really nice dress in the wrong body. Maybe making them for men, rather than it be like, oh, that's just a way certain people are. No, let's start designing for those certain types of people. Humor, because you do have to laugh about some of the stuff. You just think, like, I can't believe we've gone this far. And you know, to be able to laugh about really serious things is going to help us change the story. And music, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, male, female, we all need to just shut up and dance. So I'm going to leave you with that. Please like, share, subscribe, and get the message out there. But ultimately, these gender wars and this toxic masculinity, it's not just men that are toxic, women are toxic as well. And regardless of what you do to the exterior, let's do the inner work and start really changing this world, because we don't have long. You know, the more we sit here and fight about who we, I'm right, I'm wrong, they're taking away all your rights, and no one is going to be right. You're going to have no rights whatsoever. So stand up and fight. Take care.